The big engine from the little school that could. That's the focus of Parrish's three-pointers this week. Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz, glad to be with you on CBSSports.com. It's college basketball time. It's time to bring in our college basketball columnist, Gary Parrish, to break down everything this week. And Gary, at the beginning of the season, you listed Stephen Curry as your best guard heading into the year. But the way things are going, would you say he has been the best player in the nation this year?
No, not necessarily. I mean, he's the most fun to watch, and he's the biggest star, no question. But I think Blake Griffin has been the best player, and I don't think it's close. He's averaging 24.8 points, 16.3 rebounds per game for a top-5 team. He's shooting 66.7% from the field. Those are staggering numbers, and you get the sense he's capable of carrying Oklahoma to the Final Four, just like Carmelo Anthony did at Syracuse a few years ago. So to me, Blake Griffin's been the most impressive, but it's been close, and there's no question those two would finish first and second in any Player of the Year vote happening today.
Gary, Blake Griffin already had his chance to be on display in New York earlier this season, the week of Thanksgiving. Stephen Curry's going to have his on Tuesday in the Jimmy V Classic against West Virginia. How big is that for both him and Davidson?
Well, it's big, not necessarily for him to become a star, because we're past that point. He's already a star. You can ask LeBron James. But if he wants to expand his stardom to mythical proportions, then this is how you do it, on national TV against a Big East school in New York City. So it's huge in that regard, and huge for Davidson in a different way, just because you want to go up there and try to get another win over a BCS-affiliated program. They knock off NC State this past weekend. If you can get this one over West Virginia, then it starts to legitimize you and makes people not so much live off what happened last March, but start living off of what's happening this November and this December. So it's big in every way, and I can't wait to get there and see them both on that stage.
And of course, Davidson would love to build a program like what Gonzaga has in the Great Northwest. And I want to talk about the Zags here, because you have them listed number 3 on your top 25 plus 1 heading into this week. Why have you been so impressed with Mark Few's squad this year?
Well, beyond the fact that they won the Old Spice Classic by being a very good Tennessee team, I just think the Zags have a look of a Final Four team. I don't know if you saw it, but I did a thing back in the preseason where I examined NBA mock drafts in an attempt to sort of see which college teams had the most NBA talent, or at least the most perceived NBA talent. And Gonzaga graded out remarkably well, actually finished tied for 5th. So this isn't your typical Gonzaga team that'll beat up on the West Coast Conference, then bomb in the NCAA tournament. They have an elite point guard in Jeremy Pargo, a strong front court presence in Josh Heupel, a lottery-type talent in Austin Day, and then enough pieces around him in Matt Bolden, Micah Downs, and Stephen Gray to match up with pretty much anybody from a talent perspective. Also, they're experienced, older guys, and I think that matters. So, yeah, I like this Gonzaga team, and I'll probably pick them to make the Final Four. This is a serious, talented, and experienced and well-coached team.
So, by far, this is Mark Few's best team so far?
Without question, and I don't think it's close. He's always had talent that was over and above the rest of the teams in the WCC. Now he's got talent that can compete on any level against anybody, save probably North Carolina.
All right, let's talk about North Carolina for 1 sec, or maybe the teams that can try and overtake North Carolina, because they have been dominant. Most people at this point would say nobody can overtake UNC, especially what they did when they just dominated Michigan State. But the two teams that maybe are closer, UConn and Oklahoma. You already talked about Blake Griffin, but as a whole, any chance you could see UConn or Oklahoma competing with North Carolina?
They can compete with North Carolina in a one-game setup in the NCAA tournament. Can they win that game, knock them off in a Final Four in Elite Eight? Sure, crazy stuff happens all the time. But UNC is on a different planet right now, and I don't think anybody can honestly suggest that any team is better or even close to better than the Tar Heels. They have pros all over the court, arguably the nation's best point guard and best big man, and they're just rolling through everybody. They already killed 2 top 15 teams, and I don't mean beat, I mean absolutely destroyed. So I don't care whether we're talking UConn, Oklahoma, Gonzaga, or anybody. Everybody is playing for second, unless UNC suffers more injuries or just has an off night in the NCAA tournament that results in a loss to an inferior team. But as long as the Tar Heels show up, they win, and they win handily.
All right, Gary Parrish, thank you very much, sir, and we'll hear from you from New York this week here on CBSSports.com.
Looking forward to it.
All right, folks, don't forget, check out Parrish's three-pointers each and every week here on CBSSports.com, the video, and, of course, read everything from Gary in all of his columns and, of course, his blogs. He loves those blogs here on the website as well. For GP, Gary Parrish, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.